welcome to Build Brunch, the daily morning show where we talk about all of the latest topics in entertainment. I'm Brittany Jones-Cooper.
I'm Shannon Coffey.
I'm Allie Colbert.
And I'm Lucas Tim.
Woo.
Hey, everyone.
How you guys feeling today?
Pretty good.
I'm super excited because it's National Selfie Day, and I love selfies.
Mm.
And I was
National
hoping
holiday.
we could take a selfie.
Yes,
Do it.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Ready, guys? Cheese. I don't know if it took.
Oh my God,
Did
it's
it
not
take?
taking.
Yeah, it did.
There was a weird neck thing going on. Wait, hold on.
Look skinny.
Was that
There
good?
it is.
That's gonna
Alright.
trend.
That's like the worst angle too for me. It's like
Yeah.
this face.
No, it's
but-
like when you take a video that's just like moving for a second. It looks like a picture with breath.
No, but you want that slight blur so you look really good in
Yeah,
it.
that's
I
true.
luckily have the slight blur, so I'm like,
Oh,
model.
nice.
Hashtag no filter.
Just Photoshop me out because I don't think I look good in it.
Oh, you always look beautiful, Shannon.
Oh, thank you.
welcome.
Wow, coming from the most gorgeous woman I've ever met, that means a lot. Well, I'm excited because grab your popcorn because AMC Theaters is coming for Movie Pass. AMC will roll out its own movie subscription plan later this month called AMC Stubbs A-List. It'll cost $19.95 a month and people can check out 3 movies a week. That's double the price of their rival Movie Pass, which only charges $9.95 a month for a movie a day. Ooh, what are you thinking?
You have strong feelings about this, Alex.
Yes, I have strong feelings about this. I am a Movie Pass subscriber. Okay, so I, since getting Movie Pass, get to see all my movies, you know, as many times as I want a month. But the issue with Movie Pass is that you can reserve a ticket. I mean, there's 1,000 issues with Movie Pass. The main one, though, is that you can reserve a ticket on your phone, and then when you get to the theater, they're like, it's sold out, there's no seats. So you're essentially doing nothing. Like, you can reserve a ticket, but when you get there, the seats, you can't reserve a seat. So with this AMC Pass, which I'm totally getting, they're not even paying me to say this, is that I can reserve a seat as well, so I don't have to worry about, you know, not getting into the movie, which has happened to me like 4 times this past month.
So you don't mind that it's more, like twice as expensive?
I think it's worth it because I've gone to the theater literally 3 times. I went to see Ocean's 8 and I reserved a ticket on Movie Pass. It was sold out. I couldn't get in. I went to see The Incredibles 2, sold out. I couldn't get in. And like I keep going and it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, what AMC Stubbs A-List really rolls off the tongue there.
Yeah, I really don't like the name, I
don't
gotta
like the
say.
name.
Movie Pass is so much fun.
AMC
true.
Stubbs A-List.
Yeah, it's a terrible name. But
bad name.
Movie Pass got the name, but I agree with Allie. I think this is like the perfect answer for the largest distributor in the country to answer to that. It's like, what a great deal. Any movie, 3D, 4D, IMAX, whatever they D, you can go.
And Movie Pass doesn't cover
Movie
that.
Pass does not cover that. I mean, you know, Movie Pass, the interesting thing, what's like, you know, the theater industry is struggling right now. Ticket prices have increased by 54% since 2002, and sales have decreased by 22%. So clearly they are desperate, and I actually think it's like a really reasonable answer to solve that problem.
So your issues about Movie Pass are real, but what I love about Movie Pass is that you can use it at any theater.
Yes.
So all of their financial problems, all of that don't really bother me. I hate IMAX movies. I want like a 2D movie. So for me, Movie Pass, I get to see more movies, and then eventually when they go bankrupt, I'll just move over to AMC's Pass.
Same, I'm in your corner. I think that Movie Pass is just easier for me. I like the cheaper price. I don't ever watch 3D movies.
Ever.
I think they make me nauseous, so I'm like, I don't need that. IMAX, keep it to yourself. But, and also, I like moved here from LA, and in LA, there's not a lot of AMC movie theaters near me. So I could just walk to like 5 other theaters and go be like, I have a Movie Pass, and they treat me really well. I feel like a little celebrity.
Totally. If it weren't for the fact that the only theater I live near is an AMC theater, and that's the only theater I will go to because I'm lazy as fuck, then I would stick with Movie Pass. But because things keep selling out and it's so exhausting to go there, it's honestly just like emotionally difficult for me.
Yeah,
to
imagine
go there.
like going to the theaters, like that huge, I mean, you have to walk there, but
Yeah.
I have to take a train to get to an AMC theater, and if I have to take a train and I get there and I can't go in, I'll freak out.
That's true. That's hard if it's only the AMC theaters and you're not around one. Then I totally get it. But the price point of $19.95 a month, honestly, a movie costs
17.
Right.
$17.
$17.
If you're gonna see one movie a month, just get the pass.
Yeah. And also, like, yeah, the reserving the seats, like, that's a huge thing now, making it more of a luxury experience. You're spending this amount of money. You're only spending this amount of, like, $19 a month or whatever. And also, if I take my bet on which movie distributor is going to win the battle, it's AMC. So in the end, I think AMC is going to own all of them. And also with Movie Pass, I mean, I had friends who did it and they really liked it. I think it's really friendly to the consumer. But, like, as a business model, like, I read something like, our big thing is we're collecting great data on people. What are you gonna build Westworld? Like, what's the data gonna be used for?
For Movie Pass?
Yeah, it's like we're getting data on what people want to watch. I'm like, okay, that is creepy as fuck, and so I don't even want to be part of that.
That's how they're saying that they're going to turn a profit is by like basically
selling
to
to
selling
Westworld.
data.
We're in
But, like,
Westworld.
how
Yeah.
interesting is that information? Okay, so I go see Ocean's 8, and then I go to a donut shop, and then I go home and watch TV on my couch. Who are they gonna sell that to? They'll be like, this girl has no life.
I
Are
think
you
it's
Homer
more
Simpson?
like
Yes,
think
I
it's
am.
more like you, Shannon, is going to see Ocean's 8, then you went to go see I Feel So Pretty and these movies, and that like that's your taste in movies
I
or
like
whatever.
that you made it I Feel So Pretty. Wait, I have one more thing to say about MoviePass though. I think that the card that they give you in the mail is like so stupid. Because why isn't this all just on an app?
I love the card.
Yeah.
Why? It's just an extra thing you have to carry
I like
around.
having things in
But
my wallet.
It should just all be on your phone. It makes so much more sense. It should all be together. Like this should be like.
What if your phone dies?
You should just.
Oh,
If
think
your
about
phone is dying and you don't have a charger, you have bigger problems in your life.
Then I've got bigger problems in my
Yeah.
life because it happens every damn day.
Clearly. You know what? I think it's time to move on to some TV news. And in TV news, Us Weekly revealed that Keeping Up with the Kardashians season 15 will address the Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian cheating scandal. Fans can expect the show's upcoming season to address the issue since they always discuss the Kardashians' personal lives.
As do we.
As do we.
Every
Yes,
episode.
as does everyone else.
Every episode of our show.
Every
Yeah.
single day.
I'm
Well-
honestly not shocked that they're gonna cover it. I thought we all knew that was gonna happen. So I'm like, is this news? We know Kris Jenner is always on top of it. Anything that happens, if one of those girls queef, it's on the show, and they're like, this queef, what is up?
How
with
do
it?
we make money
Yeah.
from it? Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they went back to LA. They're filming right now. I did read that he doesn't want it to be discussed, but knows it's gonna be mentioned.
course he
Oh,
doesn't.
he doesn't want it to.
I know, right? And she is an EP on the show, Chloe. So she does have some like control over how it's framed.
You
and-
think?
Yeah.
Yeah, she isn't.
Of course she does.
Right. So I'm just saying like it's not going to be like an unfiltered. We're going to watch them fight every day. And like they were seen at Nobu Malibu, which is like the seniest restaurant in LA or whatever. So like they're going to be put on this. I'm sure like a very strong front that they are
It's gonna
together.
be Khloe and Courtney sitting at a table and Khloe going, he cheated on me.
Yeah.
And Courtney going, I can't believe he did. And then cutting to Kim narrating, he cheated on my sister. And that will be them going
That
into
is
the
Yeah.
scandal.
exactly
That's
what
it.
it's going to be.
That's it.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Riveting.
I think at least what I read is that he's actually not going to appear on the show, which I think is
Right.
the best thing he can do for himself. Is letting
Get away.
the other Kardashians narrate the story the way they want. He keeps his face off the show because I've said it before. Once these men get on the show, they turn into nightmares. Look at Scott.
Yeah.
Like they just start acting out in all these ways. So I think he's smart to kind of step back and just let it play out without him.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like he could just get like the ultimate case of karma if he was on the show. Like they would just like make him look horrible. Because
Exactly.
we all know he cheated on her. She was pregnant. It's like it's a really bad look for him. And I feel like if you're gonna date a Kardashian, why don't you just like play it safe and be a good person?
Yeah.
It's funny though because Scott, for everything bad he's done with his struggling with like alcohol abuse and cheating on Courtney, alleged cheating on Courtney, we still see him like so social on the show, so active, and I feel like it is his way of kind of saving face sometimes by currying some favor from the audience and people feeling like, you know what, Scott's the black sheep, we like him, we like that he's still a part of their family even though he's flawed. So in a way, it kind of gives these men a second chance that I don't know that they always deserve.
Yeah, it does allow redemptive moments for men that go on reality TV, whether they're husbands of Real Housewives or these boyfriends, husbands of these Kardashians. When they go on, they kind of have a chance, if they do it right, to like give, I'm so sorry and look at me dedicating myself to you and this family. I don't think he's gonna do it. He's not a reality star, he's a basketball player. I think there's more possible risk going on for him, but I'm gonna watch for that 5-minute scene where they just talk about cheating that Allie's
Yeah.
reenacted.
I don't know. I feel like the men always come off looking bad on that show.
Yeah.
It is a female Kardashian-driven storylines, and the men always are like,
Well, yeah,
shouldn't have showed up.
look at Robert Kardashian. They cut him out of the show and the family. I'm like, do we even know, is he okay?
Yeah.
Robert Kardashian, tweet at us, let us know.
He was back last season though, right? It was the whole China thing. When he had the
Oh.
baby.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he had
Not
a big
the
story.
country.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
sorry, not China.
Trump is like, what happened with Rob Kardashian and China?
He's not starting a trade war with China with his baby mama, Black China, whatever. We saw him struggle raising their kids or whatever.
When Rob goes on social media, it like gets dangerous.
Oh.
He like posts some weird shit.
Yeah.
You guys can.
men have a tough time in their family.
They
I'm
do.
just saying.
He's gonna start a socks line. Remember that?
He did start a sock line, Arthur George.
Great. Good. Good for him.
Well, bouncing off of the difficulties of being a man or a woman, Zoe Saldana is not here for your gender conformity, America. The Avengers Infinity War actress revealed that she and her husband are raising their 3 sons, who are all under the ages of 4, in a gender-fluid household. Saldana also slams gender stereotypes in parenting to People magazine, saying, quote, "I find that completely ludicrous and absolutely unhealthy for the upbringing of a child."
So,
That's awesome.
explain to me what exactly it means to raise your kids in a gender-fluid household. Other than not imposing certain stereotypes on them, I'm just curious what that looks like.
I think in the interview she explains that a lot of what comes with like daddy's little girl or mama's boy or mom's boss, like those gender constructions that we force on our children, our families, and not imposing those. And I think this is actually it's a really great and progressive thing, and possibly just the future of just how kids should be raised.
She discussed sitcoms as well. In a lot of sitcoms, you see the mom is overbearing and the dad's sort of sitting on the couch drinking a beer, and those sort of stereotypes can be really damaging. And I know personally, I grew up in a single parent household. I was raised by my mom, and so I didn't have a lot of those things imposed on me, and I feel like I was open to sort of explore, like I would mow the lawn, and those things that were very masculine, everybody sort of had to do. So I never really grew up with those constraints, but I know a lot of people do, you know.
Yeah, I grew up in a similar household where there was just like no rules about like how I needed to be. I could have really short hair or run around without a top on when I was little, and nobody was like, cover up those baby nips, you know? But you do hear of like some people raising their kids so different. Like just like the example of when a baby falls. Like usually when a little boy falls, they're like, toughen up, kid, get up. And a little girl falls and they're like, oh my God. And it just like sets up so that men can't be emotional. And it's just like, now you're damaging all of society because we're like, you know, we're hurting men because they can't express their emotions.
Yeah. I literally just showed you guys a photo of my brother, and he has an 8-year-old daughter, and he has on like one of those like mining lights on his head, and he's painting her fingernails. And my sister-in-law like posted it on Instagram, and I was like, that's what I think they mean. Like, the dad is engaging with his daughter in a way that they're both having fun. It doesn't matter what the activity they're doing. There's no gender assigned to that. It's just like engaging with your friends or engaging with your children and your family in whatever way is natural.
I think the big thing is that we're seeing now with the Me Too movement, and especially how men are raised. And I think what I realized when I was in middle school, I ate lunch with the girls a lot. And look at me now. Because I always saw girls as equals and peers and my friends. And I never thought it was so weird. It was really weird to a lot of people that I sat with girls during lunch, but I didn't realize that. And I think when we start teaching boys that they can be friends with whoever they want and admire whoever they want, admire women. Women aren't taught to be heroes to little boys. And I think if women are taught to like, yes, you can be like her, and yes, you can think of her as an equal. I think that will change a lot. And Zoe and her husband have 3 sons. I think this is actually really just a great thing that more people should try to do.
Yeah. We've talked about how do we change the conversation around like rape culture and all of those things, where I think it starts when your kids are very little and you start having honest conversations with them when they're babies, and so when they grow up to adults, they don't do gross stuff.
And didn't her husband hyphenate her last name too?
Yeah,
with his?
yeah.
And that's really cool too.
That's
I
impressive.
love that.
Yeah.
That's impressive. We don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
I know, no ego. It's like he loves his wife. He's like, why wouldn't I take her name? I have a good last name, Coffee. I want to keep that name. I want to give that to some kids.
Yeah.
It's a fun name.
I have both of my parents' names actually. It's Jones Cooper, so Jones is my dad and Cooper is my mom, and I love that.
Hyphen?
Yeah, hyphenated. But I always thought like if I get married, would I just add another hyphen, be like Brittany Jones Cooper Smith?
Yes.
That might be a little complicated.
Just keep adding it. I like it.
So I'll have to make some
Those
decisions.
are like all really like standard last names.
Yeah.
Jones, Smith, Cooper.
Yeah.
That's basic.
Well, I have
as
to
fuck.
find a
No,
guy.
I'm just,
You haven't found him yet?
Yeah.
now have
They're
to meet him
everywhere.
in Smith.
Well, another woman pushing back against gender stereotypes is actress Sarah Paulson. The Ocean's 8 star wrote a guest column in The Hollywood Reporter explaining that despite misconceptions, women are better at working together. The star discusses how helpful that female empowerment advice would have been for her when she was starting her career. And snaps to that.
I love Sarah
yeah.
Paulson.
I do too.
I know. I think she is the greatest. She's so cool.
Yeah.
I love her.
But where do you think...
We're just like, end of conversation.
Yeah,
That's it.
it.
Sarah Paulson,
But
a
there
queen.
is that misconception, right? That women, if they're going to be in the same position, that they have to be competing, that they have to be like going for blood.
Yeah.
And I love that she's speaking out because she was just in Ocean's 8 with this very female, powerful cast. And it's like, no, we can all work together and create something really great.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've even noticed sometimes, I'm a stand-up comedian, so is Shannon. that when I perform and I see young women in the front row, they're a little more hesitant to laugh at another woman on stage. And sometimes I just call them out. I'm like, you know, I know society taught you to not laugh at me, but you can. And they're like, what? But it's true. Like, women have a hard time supporting other women, but I mean, I agree with what she's saying. Ultimately, we work better together, but you do see a lot of competitiveness. I mean, Lucas and I were talking before about like women, you know, assisting bosses who are women, especially in the entertainment industry, being incredibly difficult. If you want to speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when I was an assistant there, I sadly, you know, and she talks about this agent who she met with who really kind of degraded her in a way. And it's sad, and you hear women on the phone.
You were an assistant.
I was an assistant. I would listen on phone calls, which was great. And you'd hear a couple women agents really say terrible things about other women, and it was just so disheartening. And you know, and it's not totally their fault. They were taught that way. They work up in these agencies. It's hyper masculine.
Do you have names?
So competitive. No, because I will get sued very quickly. And they're great people, but they're just very harsh. And I think like. Especially when my girlfriend always talking, she was always looking for a boss that was a really kick-ass female boss to help mentor her, and that's it's so hard to find, surprisingly, which I've just learned from my girlfriend and my friends, that, I don't know, Sarah Paulson is talking about, I think it's really important that people start addressing this, like women do work well together, women should support each other, and in the Hollywood bubble, if that's addressed there, then, you know, hopefully, I'll go, you know.
I think it's getting a lot better now too because there's more room in the industry. Like coming up, like even at my time as a comic, like I was doing improv, and on improv teams, if you're on a house team, there's only like 2 spots for women. And I never felt competitive with the other women on my teams, but when they were auditioning, they would say like, it feels like we're all fighting for those 2 spots. And I never felt like that. I felt more like I was competitive with the men because I'm like, you guys are taking up so much room, you know? But now I feel like that we have all female casts and stuff like that, and we are showing like more strong female leads and stories. I think that women are easing up and saying like, we don't have to fight each other. We can be 3 women at a table and all shine. Doesn't need to be just one.
Absolutely. And I came up in news, and I actually worked with Katie Couric for a number of years, and she's my mentor. And obviously she is just like this very strong woman, and she has always surrounded herself with women. Her assistants, her producers, like there's always these strong women. So that's where I came up. Like for me, that was really normal to have like these working relationships that were really positive, and we could create something really great at the end of each day. So I didn't realize how lucky I was for that, and a lot of women have struggled in different ways.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I always feel just way more supportive when there's women like in a crew and like every little position there could be. Like I'm like, oh, like if I was on a table with a bunch of, you know, men, I feel like I wouldn't get like, Brittany, you take care of me so much. Like you always check in on me. And I feel like that's something
What
that
about?
like, oh, I said you too. You check in on me
too,
every now
Allie.
and then. You're like, do you like me? You always check in on that. No, but it's just like a different dynamic where I feel like, you know, women have each other's backs and they have that kind of like, I don't want to say like maternal because it's like we're not just a bunch of moms, but you know, they're like a little bit more in tune, intuitive, and I think that says like that gives you a stronger, cooler role than just being like, I'm a dude, the world was built around me.
Yeah, I mean, and she also credits to his credit Ryan Murphy. I think, and Ryan Murphy's done a really amazing job. Especially that initiative he started with, like half of directors, crew members, everyone, either women or other or minorities, and you know she credits him like for casting her in American Horror Story and casting Jessica Lange, Kathy Bates, Connie Britton, all women well over 40. Who are incredible, and
you like?
I love all of them, and I love that show. So yeah, it's an incredible thing. Yes, he's a man, and he kind of helps fuel it, but like you know, it sometimes takes people in those positions of power to start that difference.
Yeah.
And anyway, speaking of people in positions of power making a difference. Hollywood A-list couple George and Amal Clooney are the latest stars to take action against the separation of families at the U.S.-Mexico border. The power duo have just donated $100,000 to the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights. In a statement to People magazine, they say, "We can't change this administration's policy, but we can help defend victims of it." I think it's great. And we just talked about yesterday, celebrities giving back. George and Amal Clooney have a history of giving back, whether it's to Syrian refugees, to Haitian refugees, to the $500,000 donated to March for Our Lives. They are incredibly generous people. Just completely, I'm in awe of them. They're awesome.
And I love seeing a lot of this now. I mean, Chrissy Teigen recently donated $72,000 for every person in her family and urged her to the ACLU, I believe. and urged her followers to also donate either $7, $72, whatever they could do, and then within 24 hours raised over $1 million.
And the funny thing about that was because it was on Trump's 72nd birthday, so it was all. It's really.
It was a gift to him.
It was a gift to him. But yeah, that was great.
But that's amazing. That's awesome when you're able to leverage that sort of, response.
Yeah, people always get on celebrities and say that they shouldn't be politically active and they shouldn't be telling people to vote and they shouldn't take stances. Well, then what are they there for? I mean, we only look to these people.
Pretty.
Yeah, but like we give so much clout to these people, and to see them actually taking action is what we need. I think it inspires a whole new generation to take action. We were talking about Gina Rodriguez yesterday, and how she's using some of her show's budget money for the Emmys to fund an immigrant's or what she's undocumented girl's tuition at Princeton. It's not, that's fantastic. And again, they're not out there bashing Trump. They're not saying anything negative about the administration. They're just taking action in a way that feels genuine to them, which is really, I think, important.
I mean, also, like, we elected a guy who's famous for saying, "You're fired." Like, he fired LaToya Jackson. That's what he's known for. Like, he's a celebrity. And I think in the age of Trump, celebrities are more outspoken. So be it. You know. Why not? It's great. And also, like Bethany Frankel, Real Housewives, skinny girl queen. We all love her. Margaritas. Come on, don't lie. Her Be Strong Foundation really helped Puerto Rico in a way that the government did not. I mean, that was incredible. I don't know if you guys watched this season of Real Housewives of New York City, airing on Bravo on Wednesday nights. Pay me, Andy. But it's an incredible episode. She goes to Puerto Rico, and you see what she's done, and it's awesome.
Yeah, she was literally, I remember that episode, like handing out cash cards to people. It's impressive, like when you can see it being done firsthand. Because I remember her talking on the show about like donating all this money and like never seeing where it's exactly going. Like if it's all going to renting a private jet to like fly things out there and you never see it. So it's nice to see like the direct impact. Look what they've done, crowdsourcing. So.
Yeah.
And when a celebrity gives, it actually inspires me to give. I might only give like $50, but it inspires me to actually take action. In a way that I think a lot of people would just like sit back.
Yeah.
Totally. And every little bit counts. Because I feel like in this time, more than ever, we need more examples of empathy. And I feel like celebrities are really stepping up and doing that for us. And we all know we're constantly watching them. So it's cool because they don't have to do any of these things. And they are.
Yeah. So I think it's now a good time to move on to my favorite segment. And it's time for our celebrity guest. Jamie Lee is the star of Crashing on HBO, where she plays a stand-up comic. Lee is also the writer of Ridiculous, an unfiltered guide to being a bride, which offers practical advice and hilarious insights on how to stay sane while planning your big day. You can also catch Jamie headlining at Caroline's on Broadway now through the 23rd. Let's take a look at her hilarious comedy.
This is weird. I've found myself jealous of babies recently because I realize as a woman, the only time in your life when people celebrate your weight is when you're a baby girl. They love it. They're psyched about it, down to the ounce. They're like, oh, feel her, 8 pounds, 7 ounces of pure joy. No one's picked me up recently and been like, oh, feel it. 134 pounds of pure anxiety, stress, social depression, and hold on. Is that alcoholism? All right, cool.
Everybody, give it up for Jamie Lee.
Hey guys.
Woo, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much for
having
joining
me.
us.
Yeah, this is so fun.
I mean, it's been so fun to follow your career. I feel like you get to like do a little bit of everything. And now you're headlining at Caroline's.
Yeah.
So when you look back at your journey and now you're at Caroline's for a couple days, like, what do you feel?
I haven't really thought about it till now, so let's all just take a moment to reflect as a group. It's really exciting. It's still pretty daunting to do a longer set, because I think usually in stand-up, like, you kind of just do like 10 minutes on a showcase show, or 5 minutes, or 7 minutes, so now it's like 45 minutes. Like, it's kind of that chunk where you're like, oh, it's just me. I am like the Sherpa of this situation. Everyone's just like waiting for me to guide them.
And it's live.
And it's live.
Yeah, so there's no edit.
Yeah, so I'm sweating a lot right now talking about it. But yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a great time.
Well, that's exciting. And I first saw you on Girl Code, which is how I know you guys used to work together.
I love Girl Code.
I love Girl Code.
I miss it. It's so
Me
good.
too. I miss it.
Yeah, that was such a fun show to work on.
It was fun.
I came in on a later season, and like you and all the cast members were so sweet and welcomed me so much, and it was just like one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, it was kind of like getting to do stand-up on a show, but also like giving advice through stand-up, which is kind of a cool blend that we got to experience.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I think we should ask the question we're all thinking.
Oh God.
How does it feel to be a woman in comedy? No, I'm joking.
Oh my God, you're amazing.
I'm just.
What if I loved answering that question? I'm like,
shamed
I'm
her.
practicing my answer. It's my favorite.
I love crashing. I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the NACA episode.
Yeah.
And this was my first year doing NACA.
Oh wow.
And everyone at the conference was talking about how accurate that episode was.
It was creepy how accurate it was.
Yeah, it was great. And that's what I really like. I enjoy, like I feel a kinship towards the show as a stand-up comedian. And I'm curious, you came up in the New York comedy scene.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you feel like it took you from like your first open mic to sort of actually feel accepted into that scene? Because it's hard to start getting past at clubs and...
Yeah, well, I think there's two levels of acceptance. I feel like there's the acceptance of your peers, and then there's the acceptance of the clubs being like, you're officially polished enough to come and like be part of our crew here. For me, when I started, I felt like there wasn't the dialogue that's being had right now with women. I feel like it was very much a boys' club. It still is to a degree, but at least there's like an awareness that it is. And back then it was just like, there's a bunch of dudes and like you're the one girl on the lineup. And I think at the time, I didn't even know how to process that. I was just like, oh, that's just the way it is. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was really hard. Like, I don't think I fully felt immersed in their world, even though a lot of those people I still call my friends. I think it's now that we're friends. I think back then it was more competitive.
Yeah.
But then the club scene, I think it took maybe like 5 years to start.
Such a grind.
Yeah.
It was such a grind. And like also now, I think there are new bookers at a lot of the clubs around New York that are really into like shepherding in new talent. And when I was starting out, it was like, if you haven't been doing it 12 years, like you're worthless. So
God.
yeah, it was like, okay, I'm gonna be like 45 by the time I get past here.
Jeez. Well, looking at your career, what I was so impressed by, because as someone, I'm trying to write on my own, but like, you went from stand-up to then a late night show, then now to a scripted single cam. How have you had to adjust like joke telling and storytelling in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest adjustment is that like well, I used to only focus on jokes. That was like my bread and butter. And like I would also do it on Twitter. I was really into like how economical I can be with my wording and like everything.
140 characters.
Yes, and I was like, everything's about punchlines. And now I'm in this realm where I'm like, story is truly the #1 thing that matters. Like you can be quippy and funny, but like it's actually kind of annoying in the context of storytelling. So it's actually, to me, I think it's less pressure because you're not having to like deliver on that front. Like I'm not writing on Will and Grace where it's like joke. Like they're not speaking in jokes. That's like a perfect format for that kind of storytelling where it's like you're literally getting to the point by riffing and making people laugh. But on our show, I think that the laughs are really important, but I think they come from more grounded situations, and people laugh because they're like, oh my God, I've been there, or oh my God, I can relate to what that person's going through.
And you started as a writer on the show, but now you're a star on the show. Do you have a preference, or do you like to do both?
I prefer not being a star. No,
So modest.
I am. That's what keeps me humble. Still Jamie from the block. But, no, I mean, I'm in kind of an interesting zone now because I am still a writer on the show, but I'm also acting on the show. So I think it's this balance of like, I think my character is really important just on a level of like, we need women in the show and we want to showcase what it's like to be like a girl in stand-up, like pounding the pavement. That's such an important storyline. And then I also happen to be her, so it's this thing of like not wanting to seem like a narcissist, to be like, maybe in this episode, Allie does everything and Pete sits on the sideline. Like, I don't want to be a crazy.
should date John Stamos.
Yeah, please. Oh my God, dream
I
scenario.
do think that your character, for me personally, has elevated the show. Like, I feel like once you came in, I was like totally like 100% more engaged with the storylines. I really love it. And I think it's super cool, like you said, like the character is you. I read your Lenny letter,
Yes.
and I love just getting like, you know, that your voice about like how that process was. And like
Yeah.
as a performer, I think we kind of all sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome. But I
100%.
just like love the way that at the end of it, you're just owning it and being like, I fucking worked for this. I'm a badass. And like, I think we can see with all your different projects, you have been working so hard. You have your stand-up album, which I listened to, which is hilarious.
thank you.
You know, and you wrote a book.
But-
Ridiculous.
There she is.
There she
It's
is.
hysterical.
Let's talk about this book really quick because like I'm not a wedding girl. I was never a girl that like dreamt of my wedding or anything. So I feel like this was the perfect book for me because it's like funny and hilarious and it's like a good entry point, but there's like solid advice. So how important
thanks.
for you was it to like make a fun book but also to like give people some tools?
I think that my mission with this book was like, so I wrote this book during my wedding planning process. So I
wow.
truly was like on the phone, like screaming at a caterer and then like going to my laptop and being like, I just screamed at a caterer. So that was really kind of crazy because like art was imitating life in a very crazy way. But also I think because I was documenting the process in real time, it's the most realistic wedding book you're probably gonna find on the shelves because it is funny and I did want there to be a book that was funny about weddings. Like there is not that, or there wasn't before I wrote it. Like it was all very serious, you know, like here are the 10 steps that you have to complete if you don't want to be a failure of a bride.
It's so intimidating.
It's so intimidating. So I was like, well, there needs to be someone who's just like honest and with you, like a friend with you through this because you're gonna fight with everyone. You're gonna fight with your family. You're gonna fight with your fiance a lot, which no one talks about. So yeah, I think that, I don't even remember what my point was. I think you made it.
I mean,
I made several.
you were talking about speeches.
I love the part when you point out, because this is so accurate, how when the groomsmen versus the bride days, their speeches, like men get them and be like, you know, Mike's a piece of shit and he was drunk all through college, but congrats. While women have to be like, you know, the sweetest, most delicate flower of a speech. And, how do we change that? Like, first of all, have you ever seen a really bad man bomb? Because I've seen a lot of men make their speeches and bomb.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can. It's
No,
a little,
say it.
It's a
Yeah,
little
go
blue.
for it.
It's
That
a
was
little
my
blue.
question
No,
because
go for
I
it.
think men can go far, but they can also bomb the
Yeah,
hardest.
I saw such a hard bomb.
Oh, we gotta hear.
It was my husband's good friend, and it was for their buddy's wedding. They're always buddies.
Right,
It's
always
not friend,
buddies.
it's a buddy. It's my buddy's wedding, and it's like a golden retriever. But he was there, and he told this story of them being at camp and how like the groom like masturbated into a sock like in the bunk, and truly you look around the room and all of the moms are just like. And there was no payoff. That was just the story. He's like, remember that time you like jerked off into a sock? And everyone's like, good luck, cheers! Yeah. It was horrendous. I was truly just like going like this, like scratching myself under the table and like gorging my face in the pasta they served. It was really traumatic. So I've definitely seen a bomb. I would say that's a bomb.
Yeah.
Another thing I really loved is the bridesmaids. I've been a bridesmaid 5 times.
Oh, wow.
Oh, which bridesmaid
But your
ever
advice
bride?
there is again funny, but also really tangible about like, look, if you haven't talked to this person, maybe they shouldn't be in your wedding, and that's okay. Was that hard for you?
It was. I mean, there definitely were people who I value them so much in my life, and they still weren't a bridesmaid. And to this day, I'm not really sure why. I think for me, I came up with this number of like, I can't have more than, I think it was like 8 people, which is so much. That's too much. Hashtag regrets. But I was like, I had to be 8 people because then like there's, in photos, it's 4 people on this side and 4 people on this side. And I was so crazy about stuff that doesn't matter. And so then I'm like, oh, I should have had so-and-so be in my bridal party. Like, how did I even do that algorithm, that math? Like, it's so ridiculous.
Because it's such a crazy.
I picture
crazy
like
time.
you beautiful minding it, like you're just writing
Really?
like.
Yeah, just on the whiteboard, like chalk. Yeah.
Well, Jamie, like I said, I really enjoyed this book. If anybody out there is
you.
engaged or getting married, this is some like real tangible, but like fun advice. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me, guys.
Yeah.
This was so delightful.
And
Thanks for
you can
having
catch
me.
Jamie on the second season of Crashing on HBO, and you can pick up a copy of Ridiculous anywhere books are sold. And don't forget, Jamie will also be headlining at Caroline's, yay, on Broadway now through the 23rd. So give it up one more time. And that's all for us today. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same table.
Thanks for watching.